morning. What brings you here today?
I have a fever, I've been coughing a lot, even coughing up blood. I'm tired all the time, I have chest pains, and I haven't had much of an appetite lately. There have also been nights when I've woken up in a cold sweat.
How long have you been experiencing these symptoms?
About 2 weeks now.
Have you heard of the illness called tuberculosis?
No, what's that?
Well, it's a pandemic that's spreading around Europe. At first, the illness was thought to be hereditary, but then Robert Koch recently discovered the bacterium that's been causing it. About 25% of the population is dying from TB, and the reason it is spreading so fast is because the germs stay in the air for hours, especially in tight areas with little sunshine or fresh air. Every time someone coughs, sneezes, laughs, or talks, the deadly germs could be spread to others.
So what exactly is tuberculosis?
Well, TB is a chronic bacterial infection that usually affects the lungs, but it can also be spread to other organs. It is caused by an infection with the bacteria Mycobacterium tuberculosis, which is the bacterium Koch recently discovered. The disease has become more common in areas of poverty, malnutrition, and overpopulated areas as well.
So is this disease being treated?
Many efforts are being made to try and find a way to stop the growth of bacteria that causes TB. Unfortunately, we have not found a cure yet. However, I have a feeling this epidemic might be around for a while, maybe even into the 21st century. By that time, I'm sure there'll be treatments for this disease. Most likely, it'll take various antibiotics to cure this illness.
Well, that's just great for people of the 21st century, isn't it?
We're really sorry, but we're doing all that is possible at this time to put an end to this epidemic.
Well, you can send me a telegram when you figure it out.
Hi there, how are you feeling today?
I'm okay, Doc. Not the greatest.
What are we seeing you for?
Well, I've had these terrible headaches, a fever up to about 104. I've been vomiting, and I've had the chills, and I've just started developing this rash.
Have you been really itchy lately, or have you been in close living conditions or overseas at all?
You know, in fact, I have. I just returned from Europe, and I was doing some volunteer work with the less fortunate, and I've been really itchy ever since I've been back. It was very crowded, and I thought maybe it was just mosquitoes.
Well, it sounds to me like you have some type of typhus.
What's typhus? I've never heard of that.
Well, it was common back in the 18th and 19th centuries while World War I and II were taking place. It was caused by bacteria passing from person to person through insects that were infected at the time, and it's due to crowded cities and bad hygiene.
So you said that there's certain types of typhus, so does that mean there's more than one?
Yeah, there's actually 4 different kinds of typhus. There's epidemic typhus, and that's caused from body lice, and some symptoms include headache, fever, chills, and a distinct rash is what I can see from you. This can be fatal if it's not treated. A person who was previously affected by typhus and has recovered could still have the germs in their body, and that is called Burlesensor. Another type is called endemic typhus and is caused by fleas. Some symptoms are high fever, chills, and headache. The 4th type is scrub typhus, and symptoms are cough, abdominal pain, and vomiting.
So which one do you think I have, and what's going to happen to me?
Well, to me it sounds like you have epidemic typhus. If we don't treat it, you may die.
Oh. Well, that's not good. How many people have typically died from this?
Well, in the Revolutionary period, during and after World War I, more than 3 million people died. Between 1848 and 1901, the death rate dropped by 84%.
Wow, so what do we do now?
Well, we'll put you on an antibiotic. Thankfully, we're in the 21st century and modern medicine has developed. Otherwise, you'd be a dead woman for sure.
Oh, thanks, Doc.
Yes.
Are you okay in there?
This is disgusting. What's wrong with me?
Well, you might be coming down with a case of cholera.
What the heck is that?
Cholera is an acute diarrheal disease caused by a bacterial toxin that affects and the absorption of water in the small intestine. Symptoms usually arise within hours or up to 5 days. It was spread in the 19th century by contaminated water that caused widespread epidemics. It originally came from India and then spread through Persia to Russia, who passed it on to Poland during their war, to contaminate the rest of Europe by the middle of the century.
Oh, so that's what's causing all my symptoms, such as nausea, heartburn, indigestion, dehydration, rapid pulse, sleepiness, and watery diarrhea. That starts suddenly, I may add.
Yes, the diarrhea is not like your normal kind. This happens because the small intestine is not absorbing the fluids like it should.
How come I've never heard of this?
There's been a total of 7 pandemics. The 2nd through the 5th affected Europe, Asia, and the US in the 19th century. Cholera was evident before 1817, but this is when it became of global importance. Outbreaks originated from India and infected most of the country. Then, the first epidemic spread through Turkey to the borders of Europe. It then disappeared for some time until 1829, when it reached Europe and America through the tradesmen along shipping routes, before reaching the US and Canada. Canada was even infected.
Oh no, not Canada!
Oh yes. Canada was not spared this time. The 3rd pandemic was considered the most brutal. It was spread all over the previous places, also into Africa. The 4th and 5th were less severe, from 1863 to 1881.
Okay, enough of this history. How did I get this diarrhea, and how do I get rid of it? This is no fun.
It is usually caused by a lack of living quality, because if they do not have a good source of water and they do not have a good sense of hygiene, usually occurs in places with poor sanitation, crowding, war, and famine. It is usually by contaminated water or food by this bacteria. Shellfish is especially contagious.
I'm never eating seafood again.
Europe qualified for many of these with no public health regulations at the time. And as for treatment, back then they tried many things, including injecting some ounces of water into the veins, anemias, castor oils, bloodletting, brandy, and opium. Not to mention, they tried to block the back hole. I would not suggest any of these for today, except for the brandy. Just joking. Fluids and salts and sugars are what prescribed today, but they had no knowledge of this mixture back then.
Nurse, from now on, I promise not to eat any more shellfish and drink lots of uncontaminated water. I never ever want to look like this.